So again, like thinking through like a fun theme for today, I want everyone to feel really comfortable and confident using Zoom or whatever platform you decide to do. We'll be hearing from a few of our providers that are already testing this, which is super exciting. I know a ton of you on the call have been thinking through this kind of during this current like state of affairs. At the time, like the biggest thing to keep in mind is that you can still bring a lot of fun and silliness to online classes, even though it may not feel as natural in the beginning. It's really good to kind of take a step back and practice talk to your screen. I'm going to be sharing some tips and tricks. I have a theater background, believe it or not. I never, my parents are very proud to say that I can finally apply that to my day-to-day career here at Sawyer Tools. So just to, reiterate what we're going to be covering today, we're going to really use this time to learn from one another, answer any questions that you guys have as you're kind of thinking through planning for this strategy and what that looks like here on out. I'm going to be joined by Dylan DePice, who, for those of you who I'm sure have spoken to Dylan at some point or another, whether you're troubleshooting or having an issue, he is definitely our product support guru. And he's going to be talking through some exciting Sawyer Tools tips and tricks to getting your online classes up and launched. The good thing to know is that this is always flexible and this is a work in progress. So as you're kind of experimenting, as you hear from other people, don't be afraid to kind of try something new and think through like, okay, maybe this person's trying this. Maybe I want to kind of test something new out for my business. Maybe I want to consider moving to memberships for exclusive content. So we're going to talk through a few of those ways that you can consider pricing and thinking through beyond just like getting through right now, which is very much like trying to help out with families, making sure that we are a support for them, making sure that you're connecting with your community in really thoughtful, strategic ways. And then sort of, thinking of the long term, unfortunately, we may be inside for quite a while. And so rather than kind of being afraid or not sure where to start, I would say, rip the Band-Aid off, get ready to go online. Don't worry about, being really tech savvy. You don't really need to. A lot of the tools that we're going to talk through are free for educators. They're easy to use. We've written a ton of resources and blog posts that we'll be sharing throughout, and we've already started to share some of those in email. So just know that we are here to support you. We use Zoom all the time. And so we'll talk through how we think about it here at Sawyer and how to, again, bring the freshness. What I will say for anybody who has joined, you will notice that you're muted, but you can unmute yourself at any point. I'm going to kind of talk us through what we're going to be covering today now that our meeting has officially begun. If you want to play around with your views or see who's joining on the call, you can look at us in a gallery view. You can look at the speaker view only. If you want to look at the gallery view, you just use the arrow to kind of toggle and see who is joining on the call. We have so much overwhelming response with today's webinar, so I am super excited and appreciative of this community. The team and I are more than ever inspired to kind of work with each of you to kind of accomplish this really what can seem like a daunting task and make it as easy and accessible for you, be able to pivot your business to make it accessible for families online and really support the work that is going to be happening in the next couple of months. So for those of you who are just joining, we're going to get started. I am Dana. I have some amazing special guests that are going to be speaking today that I'm going to do an intro of. And again, Dylan, our product liaison and senior account manager, is going to be talking through some tools tips as well. So can everyone see my screen? Give me a thumbs up on video if you can see. Amazing. Awesome. So without further ado, it's time for Sawyer Social Hour. Sit back, relax, and get ready to go online. All right, so who am I? So I'm Dana. For those of you who haven't chatted with me, emailed with me, or spoken to me on a phone call, met me in person, hi, how are you? It's nice to meet you. So I am coming from years of experience working at a company called Kidville. Kidville runs global early childhood development programs. So I'm very used to kind of taking my creative knowledge, applying them to classroom plans, materials, but also speaking with small business owners on a regular basis when we used to present to our franchise owners. I feel very confident and comfortable talking about how to make online training really exciting for your teams. Moving on to Tools Talk, brought to you by Dylan. So Dylan, as I mentioned, is our senior account manager and product liaison. Dylan's wonderful. He runs our support team along with Molly. He is there to kind of give you all of the tools, hacks, tips, and tricks that you're going to need to get started on your journey through online exploration. And then I have some amazing guest panelists who will be joining us a little bit later. Anthony Rudolph, who is the partner and co-founder of Union Square Play. Here in New York City, Union Square Play is really a social club for moms and parents looking for resources and activities for their little ones. They were one of our first providers to kind of announce moving online. And so we've kind of been watching all of the things that they've been doing and creating with their teams. So I'm gonna have him speak to you today. And then Elisa Pupko, who is one of our first providers that use Sawyer Tools. She runs an amazing program called Treasure Trunk Theater, and I'm going to have her kind of walk through how she and her team have been thinking about Facebook Live. I think she's even hosting a Facebook Live like directly after this webinar, so kind of amazing to get to watch, and really excited for her to kind of share how they've been thinking about online programming. So just to walk you through what we're going to be covering today, hi, welcome, done my welcome and introduction. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks of like how to speak to the camera, how to kind of play around with your fun background like I have here, ways to bring creative silliness to life and not be afraid to kind of experiment along with your talented team. If you have a staff, if you don't and you're looking for resources, let us know. We can definitely help you with that. Like I said, Dylan's going to talk a little bit about the Sawyer Tools things and features that we've released and are continuing to iterate on to really make this and your experience as easy as possible. We know how hard of a time this is for our small business owners. And so what we're working on here is really all of the tools to be able to both support you and your families who are desperately looking for online content for their families and children while they kind of bring this online learning to their homes. We're going to hear from Elisa and Anthony. I'm going to do a little moderated Q&A with them, and then we're going to open it up to you guys. And so I really want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to type in their questions, connect with one another. The chat is there for that reason. So definitely, if you're not familiar with Zoom, you'll see a little chat function along the side. Sometimes it'll appear in your 3-dot menu. Click that and you can see the chat that's going on right now. If you look at my screen, you'll see the chat that's happening. I don't know if you guys can see it, but you can feel free to ask some questions. We will definitely be recording this and sharing it with everyone, so do not worry. You don't have to memorize everything I'm saying. The biggest thing to know is that we are here to support you. We are here to answer your questions. We're here to troubleshoot kind of all of this experience because we're doing it ourselves on our end here. So just know that you're not alone and we are here to help. So I'm gonna stop my screen share for a minute and I wanna say hello to everyone. So again, if you're not familiar with Zoom, up in your top right-hand corner, you'll see something called Gallery View. You'll also have an option there to look at Speaker View. So right now I'm looking at Gallery View. Hi everyone, if you want to give a little wave, a little shout out. It's so amazing to kind of see this group. I'm actually gonna take a screenshot right now because the thing that gets us so excited to do the work that we do is really getting to work with educators that are as inspiring and wonderful as you all are. And I will say the team and I immediately when, you know, everything kind of happened and we were digesting kind of the news and information, immediately we sprung into action and said, okay, how do we inspire our already really inspirational teachers, educators, performers, artists out there to do something that might seem a little bit foreign. So what we want to do today, hello, you can see my screen here, Doc. If you scroll over to Doc's screen, he's chatting in the chat to tell people how to kind of create a fun background as well. Zoom has these features. You can go ahead and add really fun backgrounds. You could be on a beach. Doc is changing his screen right now, which I absolutely love. So go ahead, have fun with it. Know that this is a custom one that we did for our webinar today, but just know that you can bring silliness and life to everything you do. Something else that you'll notice, I have some distance here from my camera, so I'm not all the way here. You want to make sure that you have some distance and making sure that you're not flailing around, right? Because obviously that looks a little weird. Sometimes video can get a little funny and a lag time, especially when you have this many people joining you. So be mindful of that. Volume is also very important. You don't need to scream. Sometimes I'm guilty of that myself, so don't stress. But just know that it's like talking to a friend, and it may seem really strange, especially if you can't see people on your screen. Just know that if you're talking to your camera, so here I'm on my Mac laptop, there's a little green circle of light that I can just kind of focus to and talk to. And that makes it feel like I'm talking to you and I'm coming in loud and clear, hopefully, and we're not getting too much lag time. So I wanted to kind of talk through some tricks there. As you get comfortable with Zoom, depending on the version that you're going to be using, there are some additional features. Like I was able to mute everybody upon arrival. That's a really great tip. The reason for that is obviously, as lovely as everybody's background noise probably is, if someone's listening to a great song or eating lunch or taking a breather, or you just hear street noise if you're here in New York City, it can be a little tricky and distracting sometimes. So you want to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success. If parents are engaging and interacting and you're doing a Zoom call where you want to moderate who speaks so that people aren't talking over one another, just know that you can have people unmute themselves, and we'll kind of walk through that. But just so you know, when you see that little mute button near you, you'll also see an opportunity to unmute yourself. So if everyone wants to take a minute just to practice with me, just click that unmute and then mute yourself again. Great. Awesome. So once you figured it out,
Hello.
unmute yourself again.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Okay.
I like cheese.
You all right. Muting everyone again for this reason. Goodbye. Okay. So everyone's muted again. So without further ado, I'm going to take it over to Tools Talk. Can you guys still see my screen? Thumbs up. Awesome. It's time for Tools Talk with Dylan. Dylan, take it away.
Awesome. Dan, I'm going to take a page out of your book and ask everyone to give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Awesome. Cool. Okay. Also, disclaimer, that photo that you just saw a moment ago was at one of our, we visited one of our providers here in Brooklyn. I think, Dana, I'm seeing, is this just because I'm on speaker view? I'm not seeing.
Yeah, I thought you wanted to talk to people. I wanted people to see your gorgeous face, Dylan.
Perfect. Cool. I feel like I've probably spoken with many of you before. I'm one of the account managers here at Sawyer. So we may have emailed, spoken on the phone, maybe even met in person, a few of you. But if I'm just meeting you now, nice to meet you. I'm going to take you through some features that we have just recently sort of released in the last, I don't know, couple of days to try to help us be able to get out in front of and react to the changes that are happening here in terms of like moving online and things related to how businesses are shifting. So I'm just going to take you through these things, and then we'll have some time at the end for Q&A on anything specific. And then, of course, you know how to get in touch with us as well, support@sawyertools.com. So Dana, if you want to go back to the slides.
My favorite photo.
Cool. Awesome. Cool. So again, this picture was before social distancing. Let's move to some of the features, and I'll just take you through some of them one by one.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Let's go to the first slide. Okay, so very exciting. The first feature I'm going to mention today is on the Sawyer Marketplace. So not everyone who uses Sawyer Tools is on our marketplace, but anyone can be. So let us know if you would like us to include you there if you are not. We have just released, there's a brand new page now on hisawyer.com, which you can find right there. You can go to online classes. And now there's a whole, yeah, Dana, you can go one step ahead if you like. So now there's this new category in activity setup in Sawyer Tools, where all you have to do is say that something is an online activity, and it's automatically going to be listed on this new online classes page on Marketplace, as long as your regular activities are listed there. So now people who are looking on Marketplace for online activities anywhere across the country can see any activity that you schedule that has this new category. So one of the other things we're doing, as well as just building features to try to help you navigate this, is try to do the same for parents too. Cool. Okay, that is the first one. Let's let's talk a little bit more about how you might want to actually implement this, right? So if you're doing an online class or a webinar like this, you're going to need to distribute the link like we did, right? If it's whether it's a live stream like this one, or it's going to be pre-recorded content like this will be soon. One way to do it, which you're seeing on the screen now, is to add the link to your notes for the confirmation email. So anyone who registers for that specific activity will automatically get a link in their receipt email. Another thing you can do is message the roster. I don't have a slide for this, but if you're familiar with the roster view in Sawyer Tools, there's a message button. You can hit message and send an email directly to everyone who's registered for that specific scheduled activity, and you can include the link there. Cool. Let's see what's next. Another new feature, which is very relevant to creating online activities, is setting up a location, right? Because if your location isn't a place where the people can meet right now, like we're meeting online. So what you want to do is in the in listings, in the location section, you can now set up a location called virtual classroom or online or whatever it is. And this new feature here is time zone. So even if it doesn't have an address, it used to be that you needed a specific address in order for the time zone to understand where you were. Now you can just set the time zone. So that's really helpful for online learning as well.
And just to pause everybody, just to reiterate like why this is so crucial, you can now really extend your reach beyond your current zip code, where, obviously if you have a physical location, that was really where people were most likely going to find out about you. Now we have the ability, and you have the ability, to kind of share all of this amazing content with people across the country. So it's a really amazing time in that community is no longer our neighborhood. We are now a digital neighborhood that allows more than one person or one type of person to kind of access your content and curriculum. So that's a really exciting point. So kudos to you, Dylan.
Thanks for jumping in. It gave me an opportunity to read some of the chat questions, actually.
Oh, amazing.
Some good ones that I'll address now. I probably won't get to all of them as they come in, but some relevant ones. Good news is that if you already have activities scheduled, whether they were scheduled before you moved to online or whether you scheduled them specifically for online, but you didn't use some of this new functionality, it's all good. You can update what you already have. If you create a new location under listings, you can then go back in your schedule section and update the location to the new one. Same with an activity. So, and more than happy to offer support one-on-one with things like that. If you email support@sawyertools.com, we can help you specifically. But yes, everything is flexible and changeable for sure. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next feature here. This one is not specific to online classes, but it's specific to trying to give you a little bit more flexibility for people who are asking for refunds right now. One of the things that we did quickly was sort of use our existing gift card functionality to try to come up with a way for you to give effectively like store credit rather than a refund. So what you can do now is we've taken, like I said, the gift card feature that we had and given you the ability to effectively add an available balance to a client's account that they can then use towards a purchase. So let's say someone asks for a refund, and instead of refunding the money directly back to them, you can say, you know what, instead, why don't I just credit your account so that you can use this towards anything you purchase through my widget, my website in the future. So the way you can do this is you go to your contacts, your client list, navigate to the adult client profile, go to gift card balance, and then hit add to balance. And simple as that. And then they have that money in their account. Next time they go through the checkout process or you place an order on their behalf, you can say that you want to use the gift card available balance. Cool. Let's keep going.
And just so everyone knows, we have Help Center articles on all of these features. We sent out a product digest for everything. I know Ariana is taking over my chat, which is amazing. She is such a wonderful member of our team who helps with product marketing. So she is your Help Center guru. She's going to be dropping in links in the chat, so make sure to stay tuned in there, and we'll keep everything rolling. All right, Dylan, keep going.
Cool. Thank you for hopping in again. Very helpful. Okay, so another feature here that is not specific to online learning, but just kind of like something that we thought would be really, really helpful in this moment. Again, this is all stuff we've released in the last couple of days. So I should mention that the word beta is very important to us right now. We're throwing these features at you as quickly as we can. Definitely let us know if anything isn't working as expected. You know, if that means there's a bug on our end, we'll do our best to fix it quickly. So another one of these new features we have here is the ability to email specific segments of your audience. So, and the way we can do this is through the custom reports section. So if you go to reports, you have, you'll be able to create a custom report. And then there's this new button up there on the top right that says message. And that will let you send an email to everyone in the report that you just created. So instead of, like I mentioned earlier, you can still go to the roster and send a message to that entire roster. But let's say you want to send a message to every single person in your client list, you can do that as well. Or let's say you want to send a message to everyone at a specific location, then you can do just that. So this way you have a little bit more flexibility to decide who you want to send an email to. And whether this is just to tell everyone some information as, you know, the news of you know, what's available and what you have available is updated. You want to maybe email certain locations with different information. Or if you just want to say, hey, we're going to just do this now at this specific location, or for this, or for everyone, now you can decide who gets that email rather than going to every roster one after the other. I don't think we have anything else. Let's see if we have another slide. Oh my God, we do. Okay.
And this is coming in hot
yeah.
on the chat, so I think it's perfect timing.
Oh, great. Cool. Let's see. Okay, I'll catch up on the chat later and we can continue the conversation. But for now, yeah, so those are, I think that does it for the brand new features that we just released. And again, happy to continue the conversation about each one as it applies to you and your business. A couple other quick tips for existing features that are now starting to be used in creative ways. Pay what you want via add-on. So something I'm seeing a lot of are providers who are like experimenting with virtual learning or pre-recorded digital content, and you know, not sure what to charge or not sure what to ask, and want to give parents the ability to pay, to sort of decide how much they can pay. There's not a way to let people just decide, okay, I want to type in this dollar amount and that's how much I want to pay. But what you can do is you can give via the optional add-ons feature that already exists a couple choices. So you can say, hey, this is a free activity, or this is a $1 activity, or, you know, $10, whatever the regular price is. And then you can say, but if you want to, you know, volunteer to contribute a little bit more, maybe it's fine. I'm seeing some thumbs up. This is great. Yeah, we've seen a couple providers use this already. And so this is one way to sort of to get close to it, to pay what you want with sort of like a multiple choice pay what you want. And then there's one more slide I have here.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. All good. One more, I think one back.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. So the last sort of tip that you can, that I'll give you, it's not a new feature, but it's a sort of a new way to use an existing feature, is to create a digital content membership. So typically, well, you know what? Forget it. Typical is not relevant anymore.
You're no longer in the land of typical.
Right? This is just not a typical moment. So what you can do for a digital content membership is you can set up a membership just like you would, let's say it's a 1-month membership that auto renews. You may want to just do 1 month for now to experiment. And instead of having like perks or members only scheduled activities, which you can still do, what you can do is just say anyone who registers for this membership is going to get some pre-recorded digital content at some regular and consistent cadence, right? So maybe like every Monday, I'm going to email out a 5-minute video, or once a day, or, you know, whatever it is. And then you can just every, you know, whatever it is, every Monday, let's say, go into your members list, download it, and email out that content to everyone on the list. A little more manual, but I mean, some of these new features and workarounds are going to feel a little bit manual at first, but you know, it's for the parents and families, hopefully it'll feel really seamless, right? They'll just get it in their email. And I think that's true of many of these features, where may take a little bit getting used to, but that seems to be pretty on brand for the moment right now overall. Okay, cool. So with that, I guess I started veering into like how this actually applies to your business, right? So that sort of transitions perfectly to the next segment here. I think we're going to hear, I'm going to turn it back over to Dana, and maybe she'll introduce some providers, and we can hear a little bit more specifically about how to apply some of these ideas.
Hi, guys. So, like I said earlier, we have some guest panelists today that are living and breathing providers doing exactly what you were doing, that were tasked with this really incredible, both and scary opportunity to kind of pivot and go online completely. The first person that I want to introduce is Anthony. Anthony, if you're on the call, if you could unmute yourself and, you know, share your video. So for those of you who don't know, Anthony works at Union Square Play. I'm pretty sure he's on the webinar, just kind of going through.
I'm here.
Amazing. Awesome. So hi, welcome.
Hi.
So for those of you who don't know Anthony, he, and I'll let him kind of talk, but Union Square Play is a really fantastic space here in New York City, in Union Square, obviously. He and his co-founders have a ton of experience from branding, restaurant business, and obviously now that they all have children, created this amazing community space for families in their area. They were one of the first to kind of announce, like, hey, we're going online, what does that look like? And, you know, making sure that families were not only feeling supported and heard. Community is such a huge thing. So one of the things that I want, kind of, Anthony, welcome, thank you so much, is just talking through, like, what was the response from your community? I mean, it was a little scary, you guys kind of, you know, pulled the trigger before New York City public schools. So, you know, what was that like? What was the experience and response?
Hey, everybody. Super happy to be here. And just so everybody knows, I'm a wide open book on everything that we're doing, and we're all in this together. So anything you guys need, deep questions, specific questions, ask them. That's what we're all here for. So don't be shy with that. Look, the decision was scary, and it was kind of a building one. We have collectively, Union Square Play is about a 7,000 square foot space in Union Square. And we also have another 5,000 square foot loft space. We have 12,000 square foot in the heart of Manhattan, and we're a space for bringing people together. And so there was inevitability of our sales declining, and seeing that happen, you know, week over week as it was going, and just saying, look, we can either wait for, in our case in New York, you know, de Blasio or Cuomo to make a decision for us, or let's pick up the reins and let's just go. Mm-hmm. And it was that, facing the business decision, and then also just, can we actually take accountability for bringing, you know, 20 people together for a class, and then really be responsible for that. We never had a case, we never had an outbreak in our community, we never heard of anything, and we just said, let's just keep it that way and make sure we never do, so that we have the best shot at coming out of this on the other side. The response has been overwhelming. From when we first posted, you know, our first email, which was like, hey, we're just going to start shifting online. That was a Sunday. And then, you know, I have two partners, Sandra de Capua and Jenny Moniz. And thankfully for both of them, we make a really good team, because we all had different fears and different anxieties, and we were able to bring them to the table and talk about them. And on Tuesday night, you know, I think it was Sandra that read an article, and it was just like, guys, we need to do something now. Yeah. And that sparked the next day of conversation of sending out the email on a Wednesday, I think it was, that we're stopping Friday. And we're just going to be done, and we're going to take all of our team, whatever financial resources we have left, and just pivot online and stop, you know, in some cases for us with rent and overhead and bringing people together, throwing good money after bad. And the response was amazing. Like our direct community, and whether because, we were first movers or we're getting lucky with, we got picked up in the New York Times. Like, we're getting lucky with a lot of these things. We don't have PR working right now. We're so heads down trying to just keep the website going and producing content and keeping the team engaged. But we've had people log onto our website from like over 70 countries.
That's amazing. Like, what is kind of the average like class size that you're experiencing with these live videos?
Our pilot we did on Friday, which was like pre-launch just to our community. We had 1,600 people tune in live.
Wow.
We had over 100 for the seminar last night with Jenny.
Yeah.
We're having about 15,000 unique visitors per day on the website. Somebody in my dad's company called and said, "Hey, have you heard of this thing, Union Square Play? The guy has the same last name as you, and he lives in England." So I hope that's not coming across as like braggadocious. It's coming across as, I hope, hopeful.
Yeah.
That like, look, everything that we're doing right now is belief. Mm-hmm. There's no precedent. So there's no facts, there's no data. And there's not many times in a business where you can just have the excuse to solely go off belief, and the outcomes are a lot out of your control. Mm-hmm. So in many ways, as a business owner, there's some freedom where you're not worried about testing and data and studies and what are people going to like and polling. Like, you don't have time for it.
Yeah.
No one has time for it. And the consumers don't have the appetite. They don't have the time.
Yeah.
They just need help. They need help. And so our belief is that, like, let's just keep putting it out there. Yeah. And people are going to be forgiving with the quality of your video stream. People are going to be forgiving whether it's a miss. We had 1,000 people online for a live stream concert yesterday, and it went dark in 30 seconds in.
Yeah. Were you guys using Zoom? I have some questions coming in about like what you guys have been experimenting from a tech side.
So the tech, we have a couple different platforms running. I own a company in the past where we did a lot of live streaming events for a different industry, for the restaurant industry is my background prior to this space. And so I have a familiarity with it. We work with live stream and Vimeo a lot on the different things. So basically I've turned my home office into our broadcasting studio. And so for a lot of the things we're using Zoom for one. One warning is be careful of overpromising on putting on-demand content from Zoom up online. I don't know how many people are recording their screen right now on top of Sawyer recording their screen, but that's happening 10 million times over across the country right now. And Zoom's servers cannot keep up with processing the video. And so things I recorded last Friday still say in progress, and you may not get it for weeks because they just can't keep up with the demand. So just be careful about promising like, oh, I'm gonna put this up tomorrow. I'm gonna put it up tonight. I've done that twice already, and I have to keep emailing people saying, I'm sorry, I don't have it yet.
Got it. So set realistic, clear expectations that you may not know. So just say, we will send it.
Yeah, there's also an option in Zoom to download to your computer.
Yep.
And not to the cloud. Pick that one if you're gonna record it and want to put it online. And if you have to order an external drive on Amazon, order like a 1 terabyte extra drive on Amazon. They're cheap.
Yeah.
And then the other thing we're doing is live stream from Vimeo. And so I have, we have a fairly sophisticated setup. I mean, I'm using a super heavy duty microphone right now. We have lighting set up. We bought, for all of our educators, immediately went on Best Buy and bought webcams and microphones so they could have them at their house, because we know they're going to be set up at their house too, so that we could get the best content. And then essentially how it works is just like any other broadcast studio. I send them a link, they go to their computer, click the link, and they come up as a live feed camera, and then I'm running a production studio in my house. It's wildly complicated, and I have not slept a ton, and it's a whole learning curve.
Yeah.
But you know, the belief system that we have is this is going to go on for a long time.
Yeah. Longer
than we're comfortable with financially, with staff, and just being able to support the people in our community. And so we're trying to get set up to be in it for the long run. And if it ends, hey, we'll have a bunch of equipment and we'll figure out what to do with it. But we're setting up with the end game in mind. But the short game of everyone is going to forgive you.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake, if your content's not great, if it glitches, like people just need help. They're stuck at home, and that's going to grow more and more and more across the country and the world. Like, just go, just help them. Don't think so much and just go. Our belief was that if we didn't charge, that people would give. And so we just put all the content for free up online and a contribute button. And people use it. I don't know how long they're going to use it for once this becomes a new normal and the urgency isn't on there.
Yeah.
But at least for now, our belief is like, okay, give now and help and help and help. And then they'll give back and help and help and help. And then we're going to take it day by day.
Yeah, I love that. I want to kind of talk through your social channels because, like you said, you don't have a PR agency right now. You guys are very thoughtful in your kind of brand approach and thinking through communication style. Kind of talking through like how you really leverage your social channels for, it's essentially you guys kind of just communicating with your families and sharing. But how are you kind of seeing families also spread the word for you? Is that something that's kind of happening?
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of it now is the things you're most likely going to use, we chose not to, but like Facebook and Instagram, is that it's so easy to share.
Yeah.
For all of the providers out there, it's really hard to share your class. Like most of you, I'm sure, want the people to be present inside of the class and not videoing and then sharing on Instagram while they're with their kid and in the class. And so by that nature, in some ways, you're not being able to share. But now it's like, it's so easy to share and you never know who the one person, apparently like man repeller Leandra Medine is in our community somehow. And she posted a story.
Yeah.
She's 950,000 followers. I think that's what crashed our concert yesterday. And so you just never know. And like, yeah. we're not doing it for that. We're not thinking about it. We're just going and we're communicating. And I think if anything, we feel so free to just communicate. When you sit down to write a web page for your company, mm-hmm. You try and think about all the people that are going to read it.
Yeah.
And then therefore you over edit your language in it. And it ends up sounding like it's for nobody.
Yeah.
I think you really have the freedom now to find your 1,000 people or whoever it is and just talk directly to them from the heart and just go. People just want human right now. And so that's all we've been doing, collectively as a team, just dividing and conquering. And Jenny's taking programming, and the three of us really don't program. I mean, Jenny does. She's doing a lot of the late night, the night talk for parents and moms. But Sandra and I don't teach classes. We have Dion Kamara and Rambling Dan and other providers. And
yeah. Talk to me a little bit about like how you guys have been dividing and conquering. Similar to like, there's the three of you that are founders and co-founders of Union Square Play, but then you work with a ton of educators who are developing the content. So how are you kind of planning and structuring? You're doing these kind of large scale live streams. You're committing to like 3 pieces of content for families like every day at least, or a set schedule. So how are you kind of mapping that out? How far ahead are you getting, or what's kind of that process like?
Yeah, I'll talk about the content strategy first, because that may be helpful. I think there's an overwhelming pressure right now to just keep producing content. And look, we'll never be as good as Huffington Post or, New York Times or NPR or any other content providers that are just sharing a bunch of stuff. And for us as parents, we all have little ones in this age group. We all felt generally overwhelmed, not just with the things that we had to manage in our own life, but then the flood of information. And so we just made a decision, like, let's not be everything to everybody. Let's do one offline activity that the parents can do with their kids every day. Let's do one thing just for kids, and let's do one thing for parents. And we're not trying to build a content library to compete with Netflix and Disney Plus. Like, we never will be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And so just like, if someone's going to choose that half hour, they're stuck, they don't know what to do, but they don't want to be on screen time, they can come to us and pull that daily activity and do it. If they're tired of our music class, they can come to one of you and just be like, you know what, I really need an art thing. And so our strategy was just like, let's just be a place of simplicity for them, where they don't have to make decisions. They don't have to choose a list that's this long and then look at reviews and it's way too overwhelming. That was our big content choice, and we're really sticking to that. And then from Divide and Conquer, it all just fell naturally. Like, I'm the tech. I'm the one that took on all the tech, got the infrastructure set up, got the website set up, pivoted the website, taught myself, over a long night how to use Livestream Studio 6 so that I could broadcast from, my home. Sandra took on the role of operations and just like getting things done, somehow managed to get 10 sets of high-res cameras and Bluetooth microphones from all the Best Buys locally to be delivered to all the educators before everything got shut down. And then Jenny's working on the programming because she's really been the face of that from the beginning. And then we're holding on to our team. We have, Union Square Play has 3 full-time employees and 2 part-time, and our parent company, Co-Create, we have 2 full-time employees. And so we're putting them to work too, keeping them busy.
Yeah. I mean, really, I think like, before I kind of hand it over to Elisa, I think, Anthony, I mean, thank you so much. Like, I know that people are kind of chatting and have a ton of questions, and just know that we are here to support you. We will answer as many of these questions as we can. Some of the ones I think Anthony kind of addressed, but just know that I think from kind of what I'm hearing from your takeaway, Anthony, is like really keep it focused, know who you're trying to kind of work with, who your audience or community is. Start there, start small, and set, kind of realistic, simple ways for parents to get access to your content. So don't try to overpromise and overcreate. Start with just like 1 or 2 options, share it out into your community, and then continue to build from there. And, like he said, I do think that we are going to be in this for the long run. And so the more innovative and creative you can be within your space, I think is really kind of the key takeaway.
If I could share two more things.
Oh, of course, please.
Sorry, I don't want to take up so much time.
Yeah,
but,
no.
I just saw a point, one thing about, figuring out how to turn my in-person class into something as good as online. Let go of as good. It's not helpful for you. Your first class was not, your first in-person class was not as good as your last in-person class, but you did it. You started. You were nervous and awkward and it wasn't great the first time you performed in front of a bunch of little kids and parents. And then you're really good at it now. That happens over time. Let go of as good as in person. It's not possible. Just don't even worry about it. Just start. Just start putting content out, and it will be better in 2 weeks. I promise you. Let go of all that fear, the anxiety. You don't need it. The world has enough of it. Just let it go and just share. The other thing I want to say is you have to look at this thing at a bigger picture, which is really hard to do right now. There's going to be cycles to it. And right now everybody's in crisis. And then what's going to come out of that is going to be, and I use the word carefully and not callously, is boredom, because people will be home and they'll have had their conversations with their landlords. They have figured out how they're going to get food. They will have figured out a lot of those things, the broad majority of Americans and people, but they're going to have a lot of extra time. And so that's where that's where you think about like long-term growth of what did this look like. But for right now, like everybody is in crisis mode, and we're all in that state. So even like figuring out how to run a business model, I promise you there will be a time when it will be common for everybody to pay for whatever classes they are, because it will be the new normal, and they'll have had the opportunity to compare and contrast content and what's better and what's that and what they believe in, and then they're going to support those things naturally because they're not going to have a choice. So let those cycles play out. Don't feel like you need to get to build $1,000 pipeline a day coming in today, or $100 pipeline a day coming in today. We're weeks away from that. We're not months away from that, or years. And the opportunity is right now is a great time to build an online platform, because you may have always wanted to do it and you didn't have the time to do it, and now you have the time to do it. And everybody's going to be forgiving. And so to be able to launch your online content in a state where everybody's really forgiving is unheard of. You don't get to do that. You either launch it and people like it and they subscribe and share, or they don't, and everybody just goes back to Netflix and Disney Plus. So it's a great time for small people to eat away market share from the big people. and own a little chunk of your community. And you don't need the whole world. You really just need like 1,000 people. It's an actual marketing study, and you can have a livelihood on it.
I love that. I think everybody is writing, thank you. I think that is a great, I mean, it makes me feel like we are all in this together. And I think, again, like one of the biggest pieces for us here at Sawyer is, how do we support that community? How do we give you guys opportunities like this? And we're thinking of doing more of these so that people feel connected, that they feel supported. Even if you're not thinking, or if you're thinking through ideas beyond Sawyer Tools, obviously we want to support anything that you're doing and share it with parents. But to one of the questions that came up, Union Square Play is not streaming or connected through Sawyer Tools at this time. They use Sawyer Tools on a regular basis for their other content. But we're still supporting Anthony and the team there, and anything that we can do to create community and drive business and traffic to all of you is really what it's all about for us right now. And so just, thank you, Anthony, seriously, this is amazing. I will be sure, if you're cool with it, to kind of share a little bit of like how people can get in touch with you if they have additional questions. Feel free to keep chatting. I'm going to move on to our next kind of panelist. And thank you again, Anthony. I really truly
Thank you, everybody.
So much for you to share your thoughts with us.
Hey, sure.
So Elisa, if you are there, please unmute yourself, my love. So for those of you who know Elisa, she runs an amazing theater program here in Brooklyn. It's one of my favorite classes. She did her first live stream on, what was it, on Friday? On Monday? I was like, what day are we on today? Does anyone raise your hand if you feel like you've lost track of days and time and everything? All the parents here, I'm sure, are feeling that. So welcome. I just, if for those of you who don't know, Elisa has a theater background. She works with some amazing, talented musicians, educators, artists. I know Jackie from Love Jack is on here as well. And really her space is this community for so many providers, just like the team at Union Square Play, where they have kind of these visiting provider artists or like guest artists that come and teach classes. Treasure Trunk is that home away from home for a lot of people as well. Kind of want to understand like your approach, like how this is kind of all started. And I know you're going to be teaching a live class at 2:30 today. Is that right?
That is true. Yes. I've got
everyone come in on Facebook if you want to see a magical Treasure Trunk theater with Elisa. So yeah, if you can just kind of talk through, how did you kind of get your team in order, and how did you divide and conquer from a content perspective?
Yes. Hello, everyone. You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. Hello. I want to just first say, like, it's so great to see so many faces and comments, and just really, as Anthony's been saying, and Dana, like feeling that we're not alone, that we're really all in this together, and we're all going through the same stuff and can learn so much from each other and be inspired by each other. So again, thank you to Sawyer for bringing this together and for all of your quick turnaround. I've already made use of so many of the new features. And yeah, we officially closed on Saturday, I guess only 4 days ago. And it was really hard because we tend to follow the DOE, which was very slow to shut down. They were the last school to really shut down. And our home and our program is really a place where we always provide a place for kids when schools are closed. That's a lot of what we do. And so we've had a lot of parents reaching out, asking if we were still going to be able to provide our programming while they're now working from home with schools closed. And again, we had to look at the bigger global picture and make the call that it just wasn't safe for our community, and do a very quick pivot on what that means. I have this very small team of 2 part-time admin staff who've been amazing jumping on board with this. And then I have about 30 different teaching artists who are all working performers in New York City, many who are also waiting tables, caregivers, doing a lot of side jobs that are now gone, as well as they're all in shows. A lot of them are in off-Broadway, Broadway shows that are now closed. So I have felt this huge responsibility to my teachers as well to provide something, to be able to give them a job still in this new world. So with that, we've pivoted to providing online content. Like Dana said, we did a live Facebook class on Monday, and I will be live at 2:30 on Facebook. And we've decided to do one live Facebook class every day. We are doing a different style of our classes each day and for slightly different age groups to provide some variety. One thing I was fearful of is that everyone is pivoting to online. So there's an overload of online content right now. Like why is someone gonna watch us? Like what makes us stand out? What makes it special? And I realized that one, our families that already know us and love us, they're so excited to have Treasure Trunk in their homes. Their kids see the teacher they recognize. So that was a really great way to pivot and do an online class. We're also doing some Zoom classes that are our regular semester classes to maintain the class for the children. We're doing our first one this afternoon, so we'll see how that goes. It's for our older kids, it's our Shakespeare class. And then we're also, the other thing that's been the most successful so far is offering one-on-one FaceTime sessions for families. So parents are signing up for sometimes one-offs, or we just booked 3 times a week for the next 2 weeks, little 30-minute sessions where one of our teaching artists will FaceTime and do a personal one-on-one class with a student.
It's amazing. I am like so excited to see what everybody creates. And again, I think like scrappy, keep it, within like what you know. For anybody who's gone to one of Treasure Trunk's classes, you guys use a lot of lighting cues and props. It's almost like a mini musical in that regard, like in a 45-minute class. What modifications, if any, did you feel like you had to make to your programming? And to Anthony's point, like without trying to try to make it exactly the same, and how do you kind of pivot to make sure that it still resonates with people?
Totally. And that was as Anthony had said, like I've actually always had this dream, and of course my mother's like, this is what I've always wanted Treasure Trunk to be. Telling everyone she knows about 2:30 today. So, there is that sense of like, I've always thought, oh, could Treasure Trunk translate to the screen? But it is such an interactive where the way our classes work for a lot of it is kids are giving us suggestions. So kids are saying, I see a clue over there, and then describing what they see. So not being able to hear what the kids are saying was one of our biggest hurdles, which I'm gonna try some comments, taking suggestions today at 2:30. We'll see how that goes. Again, everyone's being very forgiving as we're all figuring this out, and parents are just happy to have something. And my other big hurdle was that we have, well, if you can see behind me, my Treasure Trunk. In all of our classes and all of our birthday parties, our offsite locations, we always have a Treasure Trunk that has something inside of it. And none of my teachers have trunks at their homes. So how do we recreate that? And I just had to go back to our classes and our programming are all rooted in the power of imagination. And it really is, kids don't need anything. And we do birthday parties where parents will say, well, are you gonna have costumes and props and all of these items? And we always say, we'll have one single wand that will spark their imagination because they instantly believe they're in a princess dress. So how we've adapted is that we are telling the kids that we have our own magical treasure trunk, and we ask them to describe their trunk, whether we can hear their response or not, and we open up an imaginary trunk and pull out what's inside. We are doing some little pieces of household items. So one of my teachers just recorded in a class, and she took a slotted spoon and turned it into a wand. I'm inviting kids to wear a cape or a towel or something like that. So really just, it's fun in this situation, like let's be our creative people. We like to create new content. We like to, teach and do all of these things. So how can we find that love that created these classes in the first place and find new ways to bring that up? So yeah, we're just sticking to it's all about imagination. You really don't need anything. And I think it's working. I might have a special appearance by the bubbles today just because I happen to be walking
in the space today. I'm very excited to tune in and see what's happening.
Only I am allowed, but my shows will have little extras.
A little you're queen treasure trunk. So, for those of you who obviously can't tell, Elisa is a performer. You have a background in performing, and obviously, I think, your mom's kind of dream of having this come to life and you being on the big screen is kind of amazing. I think not everybody on this call obviously is used to kind of being the face or even leading a team of performers or educators sometimes, like what are some tips and tricks around getting comfortable with speaking on camera as opposed to in person, right?
Totally. And I'm so thankful that my team is all performers. I have to say, every time someone sends me a video that they've recorded, we also have a Choose program that we do twice a week for our little ones. That's like a tuition, a semester. And we're sending, each of the 3 teachers are making little videos, whether reading story or singing songs, and sending those to our students every day. So they still have something. And every time I watch one of these, I'm like crying and smiling and having so many emotions because it's magical. But my advice is to, I think either Dana or Anthony, one of you said, just talk like you're talking to a friend. Look at that little green dot and see a smiling face. And to just be relaxed and remember that you probably want to be slightly more animated than you normally are, just because like the camera tends to flatten you out. So if you're just talking regularly, you might not look very excited, but if you're smiling and positive and just have that like energy, it really translates across the screen. Hopefully you can feel my energy coming through to you right now. And just remembering that people are so excited, especially if it's your current students, they're so excited to see your friendly face. I have a 2.5-year-old and she's loving seeing all of her teachers pop up on her video screen. So yeah, just the main thing I would say is smile.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of people are asking some questions on how you're thinking through pricing. And I definitely want to talk specifically around like how you're thinking about price. I know you're running classes for free. I'm not really sure, what are you doing with like your one-on-one like teacher stuff? Is that like paid directly to the teacher? Like how are you managing that?
Yeah, so having a brick and mortar makes things a little bit more challenging because I do have utilities and rent and lease and all of those things to maintain, plus my administration staff. They are working very hard behind the scenes to schedule these one-on-one meetings and everything. However, I want to be able to provide some income for my teaching artists as well. So like Anthony, we're doing free classes. Our online content right now is free. We do have the option using the optional Sawyer add-ons to donate. I will say what's been really great is for all of our Facebook Live classes, we're putting them on our Sawyer schedule. We're sending out the link. People are either registering and not paying anything, which is totally okay. Our suggested donation is $10, which I would say 50% of people are doing the $10. We've had probably 10% of people give more than that, which is amazing. But what's great about that too is we have their emails now. So now we have, because we're getting so many new students every time. We had, I think, 80 people register on Monday for our class. I think I already have 60 some registrations through Sawyer. So I'd say at least a third of those are brand new people that have never done Treasure Trunk. So that's really great. It's growing our audience. We're getting more likes on Facebook, more likes on Instagram this past couple of days. For our one-on-one classes, we're charging $25 for a 30-minute class, which seems to be reasonable. I kind of pulled some of my mom friends. I did a test one with a mom friend's child. And that seems to be like a rate that parents are comfortable paying, as well as something that we can maintain and still give some of that to our artists.
That's amazing. I think like for everybody that's kind of thinking through pricing right now, like the biggest thing is that you want to be accommodating to as many people while also being mindful of what you need, right? As business owners, sometimes like there is this feeling of like guilt of what should I charge for my services? And really you just have to look at like what you need right now and what kind of support you're looking for from your community. If you're able to do free classes, that's amazing. People will certainly appreciate that. If you can lower your prices as you're kind of testing through some of this content, it's a great way for you just to get your feet wet and like put something out there. You know, if you're trying to use video to kind of create an existing flow for like your preschool program, for example, Lisa, or like for people that are running like tutoring or just bringing it online, like just know that you can be flexible. There's a lot of flexible pricing options in Sawyer Tools that we've kind of shared. You can go the membership route if you want people to just give like this suggested way to pay and kind of unlock content. So just know that you can be experimental with price. Think really first and foremost about your team. especially if you're working with people like Elisa does that are freelancers, artists, creatives that have unfortunately lost their kind of livelihood right now. Think of creative ways that you can use and leverage your community of families to really help support them. Obviously, business owners, like with rent and all of those overhead costs, like, listen, I don't know what the future is going to hold. All I can hope is that this is impacting every single type of business out there right now. And so you're not alone, not even in the educational community, the restaurant community, the theater community, everybody is impacted. So I do think for business owners, there will be resources and relief that will hopefully become available as time kind of goes on and we understand, to Anthony's point, like what the next phase of this is. But I think for everybody, like, charge what you feel comfortable charging. Know that you have flexibility there, and know that people that can give will want to give, and don't be afraid to put it out there as an option. Even if you launch with a free class, you can always put that suggested donation on there through those add-ons, and give people a reason to chip in and just kind of help as needed.
And I'd love to add, and it's similar to Anthony, we had the thought of, we do have a lot of families that have reached out about refunds for upcoming programming, and right, there's families that have lost, one parent or both have lost their livelihood as well. And so like, I just didn't want to restrict letting those families have our content and seeing our teachers and having that excitement. But it's also been amazing to watch someone who signed up on Monday and didn't donate anything, then emailed us thanking us, saying the class was a godsend and that they would happily pay in the future. So that was great. We've also had one person who gave a very large donation on Monday. So again, it's like, how long is this going to last? How long will people continue to donate? However, they just re-signed up for today's class and gave a normal class rate amount. So I feel like the families that are able to, they will generously give as a way to support us. So that love is felt so deeply. And I've been emotional all week, but you know, those who are not in a situation, but that you want to still support through your content, it's great to be able to have that option if you're able to.
Yeah, I think that's great. Anything that you want to share? I know we're at 2:00, so I want to stick around to answer questions. For anybody who has to leave, no problem. I have kind of the list of questions, and I'll be sure to either send them a response afterwards, or I'll answer them kind of and stay on the recording. But Elisa, anything you want to kind of leave with the community? I know a lot of people had questions about how you were pricing supplies. I definitely want to talk about some creative things that I've seen along the way to answer some of the questions coming in there. I know Ariana's kind of chiming in, so thank you to my amazing team and the team at Sawyer for kind of jumping in and being supportive at this time as well. But yeah, anything that you want to leave us with, Elisa?
I just saw one quick question that's a super answer about people register on Sawyer, how do we let them know about Facebook Live?
Oh yeah.
What we're doing is, again, we can do that, message the roster. So about 30 minutes ago, my staff sent an email saying, thanks so much, it's an hour to go. Here's our Facebook page link. Go here, and at 2:30, like starting at 2:25, we'll be live. We're going live 5 to 10 minutes before the actual class starts with a little sign saying, coming at 2:30. And then what we do is at 2:25, once we've gone live, you can get the link to the actual live video. Again, this is hard if you're doing this on your own, but then we re-message the entire roster with just says live link, and we send that out again, because we are finding a lot of people have never used Facebook Live. We're getting a lot of parents asking questions. So we're just trying to be as communicative as possible, making it as easy as possible, because they're probably also trying to work or have kids running around at the same time. So that's how we've been able to benefit from using Sawyer, but still going through Facebook Live. And I just want to say, this is amazing. I want to do this every day so I can see all your faces and just feel the support of our community and all of us as educators who are figuring it out as we go and putting magic out into the world. So thank you all for your time and doing everything. Yeah, I gotta
love that.
Stop.
And you know, just letting you guys know, the team and I are thinking about doing this more regularly. I mean, raise your hand, give us a shout out if you want to do more of these regularly. I think community, to what kind of everyone's sentiment is, community is so important at this time, and feeling like you're not alone, and feeling like you have an audience that is going through this with you, and partners like us that are here to support you alongside the way. We are totally open to doing more of them. We joked, do we start our own podcast at this time and do like Sawyer Tools live? Anthony, I like that you're nodding. Listen, no ideas off the table. We were joking about this a while ago. So we're kind of excited to get to, have these dialogues and conversations and be that kind of person to and platform to really have those conversations. So Anthony, you just typed me something and I'm catching up here. Oh yeah, I'm gonna open up for Q&A. So I know a ton of people have questions. If you sort of like, in order to kind of manage this, I know, Anthony, you were getting a ton of questions. So if you want to unmute yourself and answer any of the ones that have kind of come in direct to you, that would be great. Elisa, thank you so much. You are a true inspiration. I can't wait to see you at 2:30 today. Everyone tune in and see her magic. It's pretty amazing.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So what questions? You're getting like all the tech questions, aren't you?
Not so many, thankfully.
No?
I'm not so good at tech. I'm really good at not quitting and just figuring out how to muscle through it. But I don't necessarily have the answers of it. I have my first social media account like a month ago, 2 months ago. So I'm definitely not the social media person. I just want to offer, if you want to do more of these, and if I can ever add value, like I'll sign up to do as many of these. You have the reach to get the information out.
I have you on camera. I'm recording you, Anthony, like committing today.
Put it into the contract.
Amazing. Will do.
Some questions were around, which I posted publicly, just around like, where are we posting our content? I'm not so pro social media, but I think you have to pick and choose your strengths and weaknesses. And if reach feels like a weakness, then social media is the way to start. And just give, and build an audience, and then you can slowly bring them off of Facebook and Instagram. But if you don't have a mailing list or a way to go, we didn't even think about breaking outside of our community. We have, I don't know, probably 3,000 families within inside of Union Square neighborhood that engage with us. And we were just trying to serve them. We thought that would be enough. One point that came up earlier that around money is you have to pick and choose an evil in this, that we're having conversations with our landlord around a 12,000 square foot building in Union Square. And he's been absolutely amazing. But there's another party to the lease that I may get sued in the next 3 years because of just the things we have to do. And so, am I making the best decision for myself now or for myself later, and finding that balance? And so one thing we're doing that's been successful that I think was a little scary for us to do at first was, in part of our donations, we're pre-selling, which I was completely against this before, things like Groupon and the mass aggregates where you get pennies for your work. We're selling future credits. So if you give us $500 now, you're going to get $650 in class credits whenever we reopen. By $1,000, you're going to get $1,500 in class credits now. And so for people that spend $1,500 in a year with us, they can get $500 off if and when we reopen. I mean, we're definitely planning on reopening, but that's one way to think about it, where it's not just a contribution. Like up to $100, we're considering a contribution. And we're doing things like shout outs on Instagram and like fun thank yous. And we're having little kids from our staff's family read out the thank yous. So it's like really cute. Oh, cute. So there's like little fun things that cost us nothing to recognize people, but selling future class credits. And it feels scary because what if everybody buys one and I spend the money now and then I don't have the money later? It's not going to happen. Like, you always have some level of excess inventory in your classes. And we've probably had 10 people take us up on that offer out of 3,000 to 4,000. Yeah. And so the percentage of who took us up on that is very small, but it's represented,
it's cash flow.
Yeah, a couple $1,000s of cash flow to make another payroll.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think like we're gonna, I think next week, like right now, we're gonna be sharing a ton, for people that are kind of asking like about an email with all these resources. Don't worry, in this follow-up, we will have, so even if I can't promise the Zoom video will be ready to share for Anthony, I can definitely share some resources that the team and I have worked on. We have 5 blog posts about everything from how to select what programs you're thinking through. I think, test a bunch, do your research. Zoom is the one that we're most familiar with here at Sawyer. I've gone live on Facebook Live many times. There's tips and tricks to each of them, and it really just depends if we kind of break out in our resources where are ways to think about it. So depending on the type of class you're hosting, how many people you expect, do you want to do pre-recorded or live? We're kind of breaking that out to help you make the best decisions for you. Do you care if it's exclusive, or do you just want it available and you're just putting out, like you singing Itsy Bitsy Spider right now is totally fine. So, depending on how you're thinking through it, if you want to talk through things, we're available. You guys are with a bunch of people that also know, kind of what's going on. We can definitely send a survey after this too, to kind of get a sense of like, how are people thinking about this, and then share that collected data with people. I think that's a great idea that somebody just suggested. So yeah, I mean, like from a cash flow perspective, the next kind of tips and tricks I imagine us sending are ways to mitigate sort of the hemorrhaging that can be happening in your business. Getting cash flow in, encouraging people to buy gift cards, and thinking through those class packs when, you can pre-purchase them, thinking ahead even next year. So there are ways to do that, and we want to support you through that. I think we'll know pretty clearly, like in the next couple of weeks, what this long-term plan is going to be, or at least, come to terms with what that long plan is going to be. So yeah, I think cash flow is key. If you're able to offer some free with a balance of paid activities, definitely consider that so that you have money coming in to be able to support your team. Does anybody else have any questions? I know some questions came in around supplies. So what I have seen people do is encouraging families, like they build an Amazon Smile wish list of essentially like kits that the team will need, or your kids at home. If your parents are local, I've also seen in really cute situations where people have like their pre-made kits outside of their business front doors, and families can go during a designated like pickup time to get their school kits for families. I think it just depends on like the community that you're in and how accessible is that for families, especially as kind of social distancing and kind of whatever quarantine your area is under, making it accessible for families. Also just giving them options for things that you can do at home. One thing I saw in Union Square Play, you guys had a list of kind of the things that you would need for the activity of the day, like a sheet pan with I think like different items for like sound purposes for one of the classes. Yeah, so just thinking through like what are creative ways that you can create that experience with absolutely nothing, right? So Elisa talked a little bit about using your imagination and being able to support people. So if there are people that are thinking through class packs, definitely, or like class kits, there are ways to do it through either local suppliers, or, if you have to go the Amazon route, consider using Amazon Smile. It's just a way to donate to one of your local charities or a community that you care about. Just a nice way, if we're going to all kind of give money to Jeff Bezos, we might as well make it count in a positive way. So keep that in mind if you're able to do it. If anybody has any questions, we're still on. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask to the group. Hello. I see Soul Collections is unmuted. Do you guys have a question?
Yes. Yeah, I do actually. I was
Amazing.
wondering, you can hear me good?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hey. So first of all, I love everything that I've just heard. It's been excellent and just very helpful. I've been taking notes and everything.
Oh, good. Great. We're so glad.
Yeah. So I probably have a couple of questions, but one of them is, are adult classes like allowed to, because I feel like my adult students are going to be more, I guess, able to do these online classes, or going to want to do them more than my kids type students. Are those allowed on the His Sawyer?
Sure. So on Hi Sawyer, like all of our classes show up. It's really, our active community of people that are going to hisawyer.com are really going to be families, typically with younger children. That's not to say though, like when we talk about SEO and organic search and people being able to find you, it's a really easy way to just get the word out there and drive traffic to your page, especially as people are kind of Googling like online sewing lessons or online classes, or just put it out there. There's no harm, and you are absolutely able to participate with us.
Okay, that sounds excellent. And then one more question is that, so I'm noticing that like everyone is doing, is offering free, which is wonderful. But I have a very high lease, and
Yeah.
I also have a mortgage, I have common charges, I have a child. So I'm just wondering, like, I get it that like we're trying to accommodate people and stuff like that, but like I just can't think about doing everything free at this point. Like, how can I get around that? Or
I can tackle this one, Dana.
Yeah, please.
It's just the time period. The we can't do free either. But when we think about, can I do free for a week? Like I probably can, versus getting people to pay for content is one of the hardest challenges in the world. Netflix struggles at it, Disney Plus struggles at it, Amazon, Apple, they all struggle at it because it's one of the hardest things to do in the world. However, if you help people when they need help, even for a week or 2 weeks, then ask for money is a lot easier. And whether it be $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a class, however you structure it, the reason we're doing it, one of the big reasons we're doing it is just like, inevitably, if this thing goes on for months, it's going to be a normal that people are going to stop giving, and we're going to need to charge for it. And so it's really just, while people are in crisis, be there with this content. And then you can also work out all your kinks. As soon as you add a transaction to it, doing something completely new, it's very difficult. It's the same reason restaurants do friends and family before they open to the public. They can make all their mistakes for free.
Okay.
That's the main thinking behind it. Like that, like no one can go on for free forever. That's crazy. Otherwise, we would all be doing it for free right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the belief and the strategy behind what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would echo that. I think like, like any program, you get that free trial access, right? To get users and getting people like on thinking about signing on in this new way. So giving them a trial period, giving them like one free, class, giving them an ability to kind of try things out alongside with you, with the ability to also contribute if they can. So that's not to say that you can't charge a nominal fee. You can't, offer your classes that are normally, let's call it, $60. Let's say you do a $10 like registration, and then everything else is suggested fees. So like your community will show up for you. What we've found is people are in this together and feel like they want to contribute and want to figure out how. And so by giving them the option to pay a lower amount as you're kind of exploring these options, or pay nothing as you're exploring this, while also then giving them an ability, if they can, to help you with your business, with your kind of fees, and again, taking care of yourself and knowing what you need, thinking through cash flow from a gift card perspective, things that and ways that people can contribute, even if it's not to your content right away, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that's excellent.
Cool.
Okay.
That helps.
Yeah, that's great. That's very good. Yeah, I love it. Everything that you guys are doing. It's very helpful.
Awesome. We'll be doing more of these. I definitely, a lot of people are doing sliding scale. A lot of people are offering coupon codes for families that, may need a little extra assistance, that are in a similar position. We're, again, the more that you can keep it about community and doing what's right for people at this time in crisis mode, I think it will be paid back. I do have faith that people will show up if they are able and contribute in ways. Like I have faith in our country and our world that there are a lot more caring, considerate, compassionate people that are willing to go that extra mile to support small businesses like yourself. So have that faith, have that kind of internal guiding voice, if you will, and go from there.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Anybody else have any questions that want to hop on? Yeah, I think people, I mean, this is like, if you just want like to join this Love Fest, I love our community so much. Everyone is sharing some really amazing ideas. I think like, you know, when you're kind of figuring out like what platform to use, again, know that you can test a bunch of things out. There's a ton of free options. Now is really like, we are kind of equipped for everyone to be able to experiment with a lot of these online software companies that we are sharing in our resource guides. So don't feel stuck. Like if you're trying out, you know, Facebook Live and you're like, that was a nightmare, maybe try Zoom next time. Maybe try pre-recorded if live isn't really working. Like if you're finding families and the bandwidth is just too much to kind of manage. So don't feel stuck trying one thing. So I'm kind of answering the question like, how do you choose Venmo over, you know, a donation thing? How do you use Sawyer Tool? How do you collect donations? There are a ton of sites that you can look at. You know, if you're using Sawyer Tools, like one of the biggest things is just, you know, how do we make it easy and accessible for you to use the current platform? But let us know how you're thinking about it and we'll kind of support you along the way. WR Arts, definitely unmute yourself if you have a question. I would love to hear. Hi.
Hi. So we have students, we have probably about, with our in-school programming and our home-based programming, well over 200 students who pay for tuition. Also, my computer might die, so I'm sorry if I get cut off. So we have movement, dance, arts classes going on right now. So we have students who have already paid tuition, and we're going to be offering Zoom courses. We already had our first one yesterday, and we're going to be doing an online Vimeo platform. How often do you think we should be uploading content to keep our parents happy and so the kids constantly have access to new things?
I would say like whatever you guys can commit to. I would say like at the very least once a week. I would say, you know, if you can do like, even if it's not video content, you can think about sharing worksheets and articles and keeping the learning and kind of engagement going beyond just like recorded content. But I would at least commit to something per week, knowing that everyone is kind of, you know, scrambling, but you don't need to overcommit yourself. Like if you're able to do something like Anthony said that they're doing in Union Square Play, like they're committing to, you know, one thing for families to do at home, one thing for parents from a resource perspective, you know, thinking through like what that looks like for you guys, but don't overcommit yourself in the beginning at least. See how it takes off, see what people are interested in.
Okay, great. Great. Thanks for all of this information.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I know somebody was raising their hand. Yvonne, you have a question? Do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks for having this as well. And so just like everyone else, we've had to make a decision on Friday to switch our STEM after school programs that we have in a number of schools to an online place. So we're going to be teaching coding online, and I will be setting up my registrations this week. But the one thing I wanted to offer to someone is we have a few corporate clients that they have brought us in for all day STEM camps or half days to engage the employees' children. And so I have a large customer that's a Midtown hedge fund company where I approached them as well and sent them a note on Saturday saying, by the way, STEM Kids NYC is actually going to be offering online coding classes. So Code School will be opening next week. And they happened to, we had a really good call yesterday. One thing they shared is that senior managers gave them the directive, my contacts the directive to find things for them to do with their children while working from home. So what I'd like to do, and again, there's no promise to anything, but what I would love to do is have you just put your name of your company, your name, and your email and website in the chat, however that can be, because what they said is you called right on time, Yvonne, because we've been now on top of the job that they do. You know, they now have to go find these resources for their hundreds of employees with children who are going to be working from home. So what I'd love to do, because they are one of our largest clients, give them a list of offerings that they could consider contacting you into for those who are putting things online.
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit, but I love that idea, Yvonne. And what I would say is just, you know, to make it a little bit easier for everyone, we're happy to kind of share as needed too, because like as people are kind of updating, I know a couple people jumped off the call, so I want to make sure that we're sharing that information and kind of working with you on what that looks like, to be able to give you a full list of participating providers, and from Sawyer Tools perspective, like how we can support you guys, and anybody who is kind of thinking through launching online classes, because we want to be there for parents too. So love that.
Just send me that email.
I will. Yes, I will send that after the webinar.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, I want to be respectful of time, and I also want to stay tuned for selfish reasons of Elisa's treasure trunk. But thank you again to everyone. This will not be the last one of these that we do. I think that there's very clear that there's an appetite for it. Anthony, you're going to be my guest panelist for a while, so stay tuned there. Doc, I might have you do a fun one with me where we change backgrounds over and over again just for the fun of it. But thank you to everyone who joined in. We will be sharing contact info, all of the resources after today's video, hopefully, TBD. Maybe Doc, I'll ping you for that as well. But thank you to everyone. Keep the ideas coming. We are here. Our support team is standing by. You have my email as well. I'm just dana.brown with an E at the end at hisawyer.com. But thank you again for everybody who joined today.